Marvin Redpost. Chapter 4 to 6. Chapter 4. Marvin Redpost is dead. Are you really the long-lost Prince of Shampoo? Judy Ch.4 asked Marvin as she walked into class. What? Asked Marvin. Well, I don't think so, he muttered. Nick said you were, said Melanie. Travis and Kenny hurried over. Nick said you are the long-lost Prince of Shampoo, said Kenny. Is that true? Asked Travis. Before Marvin could answer, someone shook. It was Clarence. You're not a prince, said Clarence. Clarence was the meanest kid in Marvin's class. I didn't say I was, said Marvin. You shouldn't push a prince, Clarence, said Judy. He'll throw you in dungeon. That's right, said Melanie. You're in big trouble, Clarence, said Travis. I'm not scared, said Clarence. Nick put his arm around Marvin. Hey, everybody, he said. This is my best friend, Prince Robert. Marvin took his seat. He wished Nick hadn't told everybody he was Prince Robert. Cassie Hepburn sat down next to him. Good morning, King Marvin, she said. Marvin didn't answer. How are you today, King Marvin? She asked. Casey had a ponytail that stuck out the side of her neck, not on the back. This? I know why. I'm not King Marvin, Marvin snapped. I'm Prince Robert. He said it. It felt right. I'm Prince Robert. He had never liked the name Marvin. Everyone was stirring. Marvin, said Mrs. North. Stood up. My name is not Marvin, he said. I'm Prince Robert, the lost Prince of Shampoo. He knew his bones were true. He could feel his royal blood swirling inside him. I was kidnapped the day I was born, he said. I was just a baby, but I can remember now. The kidnappers hid me in a hospital. Mr. and Mrs. Redpost took me home from the hospital by mistake. Do you remember this? Asked Mrs. North. From when you were 1 day old? It's kind of a haze, Marvin admitted. I don't remember exactly what the kidnappers looked like. One of them had a black mustache. Marvin has red hair, said Stuart. Mr. and Mrs. Redpost have brown hair. How do you explain that? Asked Nick. Well, do any of your grandparents have red hair, Marvin? Asked Mrs. North. Marvin thought for a minute. No, they all have gray hair, or else they're bald. And looked at it. You said that meant I have royal blood. His teacher smiled. Well, let me ask you a question, Marvin. Excuse me, I mean Prince Robert. Whatever happened to the real Marvin Redpost? Huh? Said Marvin. 9 years ago, Mr. and Mrs. Redpost had a baby. You said they took you home from the hospital by mistake. After the kidnappers hid you in the hospital, what happened to the real baby? Some of the other parents took him home by mistake, suggested Nick. What about their baby? Asked Mrs. North. Other parents took it, said Judy. So parents just kept taking home the wrong babies from this hospital, said Mrs. North. The real Marvin Redpost could have died, said Casey. But then the people in the hospital discovered they had this extra baby. So they gave it to Mr. and Mrs. Redpost. And that way everybody was happy. Well, I suppose anything is possible, said Mrs. North. I watched the news last night, said Stuart. The king of shampoo was on. They had a number to call. I wrote it down. Well, there you go, said Mrs. North. All you have to do is call that number. But at that moment, Marvin was feeling strangely sad. He was thinking about what Casey Hamilton said. The real Marvin Redpost is dead. The Duchess of Bath. So, what are you? Asked Clarence. Said Marvin. It was after school. He had just walked out of a class with Nick and Stuart. He's a prince, said Nick. Marvin wished Nick hasn't said that. Nick always says that he is a prince. Clarence glared at Marvin. Marvin shrugged. I'm sorry that I pushed you this morning, said Clarence. Huh? Said Marvin. Oh, well, that's okay. I don't mind. Clarence held out his hand. Marvin shook. Hand, laughed Nick. You're afraid Marvin will throw you in the dungeon. I won't do that, Marvin told Clarence. He wished Nick would quit saying things that could make Clarence mad. Clarence looked at Marvin. Do you want a quarter? He said. Marvin shook his head. Stuart elbowed him. Take it, Marvin, he whispered. Clarence put a quarter out of his pocket. Here, you can have it. No, that's okay, said Marvin. Take it, said Clarence. Marvin took it. Thanks, said Clarence. You're welcome, said Marvin. Clarence walked away. Nick and Stuart cracked up. I didn't crack up. Goodbye. Casey, Hamilton, and Judy Jasper came out of it. Goodbye, Prince Marvin. See you tomorrow, Prince, said Judy. Marvin looked at the quarter. He wished Clarence hadn't given it to him. A quarter is nothing to a prince, said Stuart. Do you know how much your allowance is going to be? $100 a week? Guessed Nick. More, said Stuart. 1,000? asked Marvin. Stuart shook his head. He said, Your weight in gold. Nick was. You should eat more, said Stuart. The more you weigh, the bigger you get allowance. allowance. You could have 3 ice cream sundaes a day, said Nick. 4, said Stuart. 5, said Nick. 6, said Marvin. Come on, said Stuart. Let's go to your house and call up your father. Why, said Marvin. His father worked at an office watch. The king of shampoo, said Stuart. Oh, my father, said Marvin. Duh, said Nick. They went to Marvin's house. He tapped the Redpost and walked through the gate. They went straight to the phone in the kitchen. Stuart gave Marvin the number to call. Marvin looked at the phone. Don't you want to call him? Asked Stuart. Sure I do, said Marvin. He wasn't sure. Well, do it, said Nick. I will, Marvin said. Don't rush me. He picked up the phone. What are you going to say? Asked Nick. Marvin took a deep breath and dialed the number. Are you going to call him Dad? Asked Nick. A woman answered. How may I direct your call, please? She asked. I'd like to speak to His Royal Highness, the King of Shampoo, please. Marvin. Oh, that's good, said Nick. I'm sorry, the king isn't here. May I help you? Said the woman. It's me, exclaimed Marvin. The king's son. The one he's looking for. And my name? Marvin smiled at Nick and Stuart. Prince Robert. The woman laughed. That may very well be, she said. However, we received lots of calls. Do you have any different name? Oh, said Marvin. Marvin Redpost. And when you come in for your test? My test? Yes, a blood test. Oh, said Marvin. I was afraid I have to know the capital of shampoo or stuff like that. The woman laughed again. No, it's not that kind of test, she said. Marvin liked the way that woman laughed. It sounded like almost if she was singing. I don't know how she laughs like that. Maybe. How about 11 o'clock tomorrow? She asked. I have school, said Marvin. 4:30? Asked the woman. Okay, said Marvin. She told him where to go for his test. It was at the Redpost Hotel in Washington, D.C., 5th floor. Excuse me, are you my mother? Asked Marvin. What? The Queen? Asked Marvin. She laughed again. No, she said. She stopped. I'm the Lady of Ch.4, Duchess of Bathwater. Oh, said Marvin. Well, it was a very nice talking to you, Lady Ch.4. It was nice talking to you, Marvin. I hope you really are Prince Robert. Oh. Marvin hung up the phone. Tomorrow at 4:30. My home is to Redpost. And you all have to do is get my mom to take me there. Chapter 6. A new car for Mrs. Redpost. Marvin was sitting at the dinner table. Mrs. Redpost had made chicken tacos, his favorite. He hoped that she wasn't really a kidnapper. And then he'd have to lock her in his dungeon. Mr. and Mrs. Redpost, he said, I have something important to tell you. Mr. Redpost churched into the The juice ran down from his sleeve. Mr. and Mrs. Redpost? Asked Mrs. Redpost. Lindsay, Jake, you need to hear this too. Marvin took a dip. He wasn't quite sure how to say it. Well, said Jacob. Marvin Redpost is dead, said Marvin. Jacob laughed. And Mr. and Mrs. Redpost stared at him. And when did this happen? Said Mr. Redpost. About 9 years ago, said Marvin. Well, I must say, Mrs. Redpost nodded. You are looking quite well considered. Then she and Mr. Redpost cracked up. Lindsay burst into tears. I love you, Marvin, she sobbed. I love you, Marvin, she sobbed. Don't be dead. Don't cry, Lindsay, said Marvin. I'm not dead. Marvin Redpost is dead. I'm not Marvin Redpost. Lindsay kept crying. You're not? Asked Mr. Redpost. No, said Marvin. He turned to his former mother. Sorry, Mom. I mean, Mrs. Redpost. I know this comes for a great shock to you. Well, essentially, it is a surprise, she replied. Who are you? Asked Jacob. Marvin took a deep. My name is Prince Robert. I'm the lost prince of Shampoo. Oh, I heard it, explained Jacob. The king of Shampoo is in Washington looking for his lost son. He turned to Marvin. You're him? Neat. I think so, said Marvin. Marvin explained the whole to family. Now the kidnappers hid the baby prince from the hospital where Marvin Redpost was born. And then Marvin Redpost died, but they had an extra baby lying around, so they gave it to Mr. and Mrs. Redpost. Well, it sounds very logical, Mr. Redpost agreed. When he stopped crying, but her little lip still trembled. Marvin felt sorry for her. It was always hardest on the children. I got red hair and blue eyes, Marvin said. Everyone else in his family has brown hair and brown eyes. So what do you plan to do about it? Asked Mrs. Redpost. Stuart got the phone number from the news, said Marvin. I called it. I spoke to Lady Jennifer, Duchess of Bathwater. Marvin laughed. Now came the hard part. I'm supposed to get you the water hotel tomorrow at 4:30 for a blood test. Can you please take me there, Mrs. Redpost? She looked at him. I know it's taking a lot, said Marvin, especially since you're not my mother. But I'm sure the king will be very, very grateful. You'll probably no paid gas. I bet he'd been buy you a new car. I'll be happy to, said Mrs. Redpost. Thank you, said Marvin. I'm going to miss you, Marvin, said Mrs. Redpost. The